This is Don Wood from Don Wood Construction Ministry, and I'm here to interview him. So, Don, how did you first get into leadership or ministry?
It just kind of happened.
It just happened?
You know, when years ago, our church kind of split on a vote, and some of us left to start another church. I was 23 years old, ended up being on the church board and the church secretary treasurer at
Oh, wow.
23 years old.
Wow.
So I've been in that kind of leadership for a lot of years.
Wow.
And as time develops, it just developed into music ministry and worship leading, and I've done everything in the church besides pastor.
Wow. That's awesome.
But-
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So, what are some of the challenges of leadership and ministry?
Working with different personalities. And you knew I was going to say that, didn't you? Yeah, because you find some people that'll push your buttons,
Yeah.
and you got to be able to control yourself and work with yourself to the point that you don't make them mad and you don't run them off, and because anytime you do that, it goes against you, not them.
Yeah.
If you're working with various people, whether it be in the church work or whether it be in the secular world, you have to be able to deal with people and their personalities, and everyone's different.
Wow. Yeah, that's good.
It's a tough thing. I've run into a couple that just really was tough to
Mhm.
deal with.
Yeah, I believe that. So, what are some of the rewards of your leadership?
Seeing things accomplished is the main thing. I was thinking back about it back when I was working in Mexico. We would have groups come down, and they would be there for like 5 days, and we would want to have a roof on a building in the 5
Yeah.
days. Well, I learned about where we needed to be after the second day. And if we wasn't there, I'd just go talk to the leadership of the group and say, if you want a roof on this thing when you leave, we have to be such and such point tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Most of the time, we got to work a little late that night,
Mhm.
but all of the teams wanted to see the
Yeah.
project completed. And so that was one of the things. I did run into a situation right after I got down to Mexico. We got up on the last day, and the leader of the group got up and said, we're in good shape, everything's going fine, we'll be done. You know, that project didn't get out.
Wow.
Everybody just sat down.
Hmm.
So I learned to say that people would say, are we on schedule? Nope. We're on schedule when we get done.
Yeah.
That's when we get on schedule.
Yeah. So, what is something you would tell yourself at the beginning of your leadership or ministry?
If I could tell myself now what I should have told myself then, it would be God's way, not my way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that you have to learn and develop. It just don't happen because you say it.
Yeah.
It has to be something that's where you put your focus is on that, so that get yourself out of the way. And sometimes that's difficult to do. I've had a lot of struggles that way.
Yeah. Okay, and then what's one of your favorite stories from your years in leadership or ministry?
Well, one of my favorite stories has nothing to do with leadership. When we was in Mexico, I had an old pickup given to me, an old 73 Ford. And I'd had a new engine put in it, and we was going down into the mountains of Durango State to a little town called Santa Maria del Oro. And the speed to light pickup was broke down, the transmission was out of it, so they asked me to pull the big trailer with mine, and got down almost there and going up over a mountain, and that pickup just got to where it would not hardly pull. It just barely made it over the mountain. And it was a one-ton pickup. And so we worked on it all that week and stuff, and we got headed back, and we got back to a little town called Parral. And the missionary and I that I worked with decided we'd go on to Chihuahua. and we started out of town and got out of town, that pickup, I mean, at that time, the pickup was running really good. I said, let's go. It's running good. We didn't get 2 miles out of town, that pickup wouldn't pull itself. So we finally turned around, went back into Parole, and didn't get back in there till about 9 o'clock that night. Got a motel. I got up the next morning, and I went out there and raised the hood, and took the breather cap off, the old Ford. Had a hole about the size of a grapefruit in the side of the air cleaner. And I had 3 little pieces of molten metal on my butterfly and my carburetor. 2 about the size of a quarter, one of them about the size of a dime. I thought, well, I just put a brand new carburetor on this thing. I thought, it's gone. But anyhow, when we turned around to come back into Parole, we had to hook the missionary's van, and he had a trailer on also, to it to pull me back into town. And the ditches there could be 200 feet deep. You know, they were in the mountains. And I'll get to what could have happened then in a little bit. But anyhow, we decided to just load the truck up. We unloaded the flatbed trailer, had scaffolding and cement mixers and all that stuff on it. Unloaded it and at the motel, and they allowed us to do that. And we was going to just drag the pickup up on the trailer. Well, we got it kind of positioned, and I just reached in the window to take the thing out of gear. And the gear shift just went down, swung down to the bottom. I thought, what in the world? Anyway, it came out of gear, got it parked. We got it up on there, got it home. That's the only time I've ever missed an Easter service. This was Easter weekend. Because we were still trying to get home. Took it out Monday morning to the mechanic that had put the new motor in, talking to him, telling him all about it. Said, you know, when I shut it off, it was idling and good, it was just sounding good. And I said, by the way, I have a little problem with some play in my steering wheel. Could you check that out for me? I said, I've got to be gone this week, you know, back into Mexico to do some stuff. And so they said, well, turn the steering wheel, and they checked it. And back then, the old pickups had a little donut thing, fiber donut that you had 2 bolts in it. Well, one of them was already broke out. So that was my play. So when I got back after that trip to see how they'd come out on the pickup, they pulled the steering column up out of there and never unbolted the other bolt, just broke. Now think back to what I just told you about having the fan and the trailer pulling me in the mountains. What could have happened if I'd have lost my steering?
Yeah.
Because I had the heavier rig. And I've just now, and probably in the last 2 or 3 years, been able to tell that story without crying.
Wow.
Because of God's protection. That's just one time. But that had nothing to do with leadership.
Yeah.
But that's one of my favorite stories.
Yeah, that's fine.
But in leadership, it's just the fact of getting a project or whatever it is done. Before I went to Mexico, I managed a hog farm out west of Arkansas City, and that the boss would not back me up. So I was out there almost 13 years, but I was there 11 years before I found out why I was there. The Lord had told me to go get a job there. And so I did, but I told the guy, him and I was on the same board at the church, and I told him, I said, the guy wants me to come talk to you about a job. I said, I was going to tell you to start with, I don't like hogs. It's a hog farm. I said, I don't like hogs, but he hired me anyhow. But anyhow, when I figured out what it was, why I was there, is I had to get the guys to do the job I needed them to do without making them mad. Because if I did, they'd go running to the boss. And then he'd come say, you're too hard on them. You know, this thing. So I had to learn how to get the job done without making them mad. And so that taught me how to deal and work with volunteer people, which I've done for over 20 years now.
Wow. That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it a lot. And thank you guys.
Uh-huh.